And this is important, the fact that they were chosen, appointed by the local churches. Luke was appointed. And this gives a principle which should be basic common sense, but spiritually speaking, sometimes we lose our common sense because of our lack of interest in Bible doctrine. But so principle is a man of confidence, man of trust, must be appointed, delegated to handle the money. Here, the local churches were the ones who appointed Luke, a man of trust. Verse 18 says, whose praise and the work of the gospel is throughout all the churches. And not only that, excuse me, but also having been appointed by the churches as our traveling companion with this grace administered by us, being administered by us. So his praise is all throughout all the churches, and so they appointed him. A man of trust. Men of trust must be appointed, delegated the handling of money in the local churches. First, you have the deacons, the top deacon. The top deacon who's in charge of the treasury. So we can call him the treasurer. And then he has the deacons under him. That's part of that, that committee of handling the money. And these men have the spiritual gift. That's what God designated to them as a spiritual gift. And as they function in the handling of this money, they make sure they do these things as unto the Lord. Meaning that you are in fellowship and you use the Bible doctrine that you've learned as you're handling this money. And this counts as divine good, just as any other divine good, such as witnessing and doing great things for God. Well, guess what? This is your divine good if you have the gift of administration. The gift of administration belongs to men. Gifts of leadership belong to men. Women have other gifts, such as the gift of helps. But when it comes to the gift of leadership, especially here with the deacons, it belongs to men. And reason being is because women, and they are responders, and they have a different nature. It's perfectly fine. We do need women all around. We would be nothing without women. But when it comes to leadership at the church, yes, the gift of men belongs to the men. You might say, you tell yourself, but I've seen many business women and this and that. Yes, wonderful. It just demonstrates that women can be objective. Some of them. Some of them can become so successful and they become so petty about them being able to thrive in a man's world. But let's just assume they are objective, humanly speaking. But when it comes to spiritual matters, the Word of God has spoken. The gift only belongs to men. Okay, so with this grace administered by us, and then plus the accusative here, face to face with something. And we have here the accusative feminine of kurios. Oh wait, no, excuse me, look what we have. The accusative feminine, because kurios is not in the feminine, so look, I almost got confused myself. Thane plus another here, the accusative feminine of doxa. So the article is the one that receives, is modified by this preposition, pros, accusative feminine. But it's noun of the article, it's way over here. Jump ahead, skip this, and then doxa. The glory, face to face with the glory. And then we have in the attributive position, now, another genitive, masculine of Lord. Tu curio, the Lord. So we have face to face with the glory of the Lord. Tu curio is in the attributive position. Literally in English we would translate it something like face to face with the of the Lord glory. But we don't do that in English, but at least you understand that this is very attributive. The glory belongs to the Lord. So, and this here, in case you're wondering, Most of the manuscripts do not have this, the reliable manuscripts, but Codex Sinaiticus does have it. Vaticanus B omits it. I always have a hard time pronouncing this one. Codex C omits it, but Sinaiticus does have it. If we were to include it here, it would not change the passage at all. It would not change the meaning. It would rather emphasize it that the glory belongs to him for you who do have the gift of administration, the gift of deacons, the gift of handling money. The glory is him, for him. It becomes very intensive. It's the intensive pronoun autos, his, very emphatic. It is not in the attributive position that is between the article and kurios. So it's not the same Lord. It is the Lord himself. Face to face with the glory of the Lord himself. So principle for those of you who do have the gift of deacons and who handle the money specifically. By the way, deacons is not just for the handling of money. There's different administrations. There's many different administrations, but a treasury is one of them in the local church. And when you're doing these things, you're doing it face to face with the glory of the Lord himself. In case you're wondering whether autos should be there, I'm of the opinion that yes, it should be there. I think Codex Sinaiticus is one of the most reliable when it comes to 2 Corinthians. So the Lord himself. You're doing this face to face with the Lord himself. And as you're counting money, and as you're feeling lazy, or feeling like you could get away with something, feeling like you could become sloppy about something, make sure that you understand this phrase. Face to face with the Lord, with the glory of the Lord himself. This is for his glory. And as you're engaging in the administration of this money, keep in mind that this is an act of divine good. Just make sure you're in fellowship and applying the Bible doctrine that you have. If you do not have the Bible doctrine, then you better get back to learning some Bible doctrine before you can handle anything. If the church has you there and you have no Bible doctrine, then they made the mistake of having you there without even having the doctrine necessary. But let's not go to the details. This is for the glory of the Lord himself. And you have to make sure that your motivation is correct. That you have the appropriate Bible doctrine inside of your soul that has you occupied with Christ. Preferably, you have to already have problem-solving device number 7, which is personal love for God the Father. And obviously in personal love for all mankind, so that you can be occupied with Christ. This is problem-solving device number 10, personal love for the second person of the Trinity, the Lord Jesus Christ. It's for the glory of the Lord. Face to face with the glory of the Lord. Keep also in mind that who is the glory that's inside of you, the Shekinah glory. So as you're handling the money, the Shekinah glory is inside of that temple, which is your body. So are you doing it for the glory of the Lord? It becomes very personal. The fact that God is inside of you, the Shekinah glory. And so as you're handling this money, you as a priest, you as a deacon functioning in that local church, you must do it for him. And make sure you execute these priestly sacrifices correctly, perfectly. So this is not for people. This is for the glory of the Lord. I keep the intensive pronoun here. Face to face with the glory of the Lord himself. So I did not put that in my translation, but I'll fix it in a little bit. Okay, and then this prepositional phrase does not end because it continues with another accusative here in the feminine. And prothumia. So we have the article here going down over here, so prothumia. It's also in the feminine. So how do we translate it over here? Eagerness. This is extreme positive volition, the motivation of Bible doctrine inside of the soul, producing one mental attitude, which is eagerness and readiness. And that's how we translated it over than the previous verses. So protumian plus the possessive genitive of ego. Heimon, our readiness. So this is not just in honoring the glory of the Lord himself, but it's also honoring the desire, the readiness of the congregations, the people who gave. When the deacons handle this money as well, they do it for the glory of the Lord himself, but also you do it honoring the desire, the positive volition of the people who gave. So yes, at the end of the day, you can do this for the people, but make sure that you have your priorities straight. These things must be done for the Lord first of all, and then for people. Just as we saw in verse 3, or verse 5 rather, the Macedonians gave. Verse 5 says, and not as we expected, but rather they gave themselves, proton, first and foremost, to the Lord, then sequential kai, then to us, through the will of God, the directive will of God. They did this through the directive will of God, meaning that they met the qualifications for this to be the directive will of God. And so, look at this order of priorities. First and foremost to the Lord, then to us. Whenever you do something, you do it first and foremost as unto the Lord, then you do it for people. Whenever you respond to your right man, ladies, wives, you respond first and foremost as unto the Lord, then to your man. Husbands, whenever you love your wives, you love them first and foremost as unto the Lord. You love as Christ loved the church, and then you love her. When you respond to your boss and you say, yes, sir, you say first and foremost, yes, sir, to the Lord, and then to your boss. So everything you do is done as unto the Lord. Whenever you sin against someone came out very hurt, you've really hurt someone mentally or physically or whatever, you sin first and foremost as to the Lord and then to the person. David understood this. You against you, Lord, I sinned. So you need to understand motivation. Things are done as unto the Lord first and then to people. Okay? Carry this concept back down over here. We are in verse 19. So, handling this money is face to face with the glory of the Lord himself, and then you honor the positive volition of the people. So it takes doctrine for you to understand your priorities. It takes a lot of Bible doctrine to understand motivation. But once you have enough Bible doctrine, you start doing things as unto the Lord, then to people. Okay? So this is Luke. So we have a translation, and before I start reading the translation, I'm going to change something really quick, face to face. Okay, now we have a translation. It says, and not only that I just mentioned, Luke's praise in the work of the gospel throughout the congregations. Not only that, but also having been appointed by the local churches as our traveling companion with this grace, and ministered by us face to face with the glory of the Lord himself, and face to face with our eagerness. So we do honor the people who give the money, but it's always done first and foremost to the Lord. And so now it puts your priorities straight. And once you understand this, you know that you have an extra motivation to do things correctly if you are handling the money, because this is for the glory of the Lord. This is one of the ways that you can glorify God without actually reaching super grace. Well, if you are as a deacon, then you have to be a super grace believer. But for those people that give money, if they do it as an act of divine good, this is a way that glorifies God without them reaching super grace. If you are a deacon, you must be already past gate 5. It must be somewhere close to Spirit Gate 8 of the Divine Power Sphere. And this you do it to the glory, for face to face with the glory of the Lord. Okay.